Good morning, Morning Thoughts Cafe. It's Jody Myers, and February 22nd. And on this February 22nd, I just had this verse really just popping up in my heart this morning when I was dropping Jesse off at school. And so I just really felt like I need to share this. It's really pressing on my heart. I don't know how this is all going to come together. Very impromptu, but yeah, thanks for listening. So here we go. This is actually James 2:22 on February 22nd, which pushed me even further to just go ahead and share here. But it says, "Don't just listen to the word and not respond, for that is the essence of self-deception." One more time. Don't just listen to the word and not respond, for that is the essence of self-deception. In other words, don't just sit there in a Sunday service and listen to just be there to go to church, to get your check mark. I went to church for the week and it was a nice message, and then you go home and just do whatever you feel like and live however you want to live. We're to take that word. We're to take the word that we're reading when we do open up our Bibles, or when we're listening to a podcast. We're to actually take that word, take that message, and apply it to our lives. We're to take what Jesus said in his words here in the scriptures and apply them to our lives. And then he goes on to say, that's James 2:22 on February 22nd, which is super cool. And he says, "So always let his word become like poetry, written and fulfilled by your life." So always let his word become like poetry, written and fulfilled by your life. So when we take that message, when we respond to the message that we hear, and we take that message and we apply it in our lives, then our lives actually become like poetry, written and fulfilled. The word becomes like poetry, written, fulfilled by our lives. In other words, our lives begin to look like the Word of God. And that is who we're supposed to be as Christians. This is a pretty strong statement, but this is actually the statement that was just really resonating in my heart this morning. And, something I've been working to overcome too here. But it's not just enough to be a Christian. It's not just enough to have, given your life to Jesus on a Sunday morning service or sitting over coffee with a friend, and just to keep on going on and living life however you feel, however I feel. Okay, it's not just enough to be a Christian. That's awesome. We're going to heaven. We have eternity, and it's awesome. But it's not enough. Jesus bought so much more for us than just that. And so when we go ahead, when we're just saved, but then we're just living like the world lives, when our life just looks like everything else about us, our life literally blends into everything around us, that's actually not okay. And so much of what the scriptures say, please wake up. Don't live your life that way. Don't waste those years. It's time to invest your lives on other people. That's why I saved you. That's why I set you free. Not so that you can just become a slave again to whatever is going on around you, and being, to oppression, to all these things. We all go through challenging times, but we are actually to become people of faith. People that make our lives look like, that work to make our lives look like what the word actually says. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to read here. That's not just enough to be a Christian, to live a soft life of doing what we feel, or even more importantly, or maybe this is just my message more importantly, not doing what we don't feel like. Okay, so it's one thing, I think, we get very sin focused. Don't do that. I shouldn't do that. Oh no, I messed up again. Shouldn't do that. But what about the other side of that coin of doing the things that we know we need to do, but we don't feel like doing them? They're really uncomfortable. They really stretch us. Our lives are too busy. We have too many plans. Wow. It's the things that are going to interrupt our lives if we reach out to do them. Well, when am I really going to have time to go serve in that soup kitchen? When do I really have time? Oh my gosh, it'd be so uncomfortable to make treats and to deliver them to the old lady next door who's all alone most of the time, or to bring a book over and ask if she would enjoy if we read this book together, or just spending time together, doing the things that really make us uncomfortable, but we all know deep down inside really need to be done, right? We are called to live a life of faith and love, which means living uncomfortably. I'm discovering almost all the time. I always hear Terry Savelle say, just get comfortable being uncomfortable. And isn't that the truth? We're called to live a life of faith and love, which means living uncomfortably, pushing the limits and giving more than what we think we have. When we feel like, there's just no more to give out, we actually have so much more than we think we have because we have Jesus. And if we're being faithful, if we're filling up with the word each morning, if we're seeking God's face and time intimately with worship, where he's refilling us, we have so much more to give than we ever think we do. I think this is more important than ever because we're being called off the sidelines. We're being called out of these lives of being comfortable observers. We talk about, wow, they should do that and they shouldn't do that. And can you believe what they did? Can you believe, the halftime show? Can you believe, wow, what's happening? Well, you know what? It's not okay just to be on the sidelines, pointing your fingers and thinking about what everybody else should be doing, or how much somebody hurt me or hurt my feelings, or how that person let me down, or how my job is unfair and that person makes more. When we're actually behaving like that, we are no different. Our lives look no different than the world around us and the culture in which we live. But we are called for so much more. And I believe that we're in a season, a place right now where God is calling us out on this and saying, no more. It's not okay for you to constantly be under the bus. It's time to actually become who I've created you to be. I've called you to be the head and not the tail. Deuteronomy 28. I've called you to be above and never beneath. That you are blessed when you go in and you are blessed when you go out. You are blessed in the city and you are blessed in the fields. When your enemies rise against you, I scatter them in 7 ways. This is the life that you were meant to live, that you were called to live, right? We are meant for so much more, so much. We're stronger than we know. Jesus came to set us free so that we can partner with him to take back all that was stolen and to expand the boundaries of the kingdom into every realm of life. So I just want to encourage you today to decide what you need. I'm just reading this right off. Sorry. So decide what you need to do to get off of the sidelines and to start growing your faith, to get into that place where you're uncomfortable, which is what grows faith, right? So that when the battle comes your way, you're ready, because there is a battle. I've just, this message is growing out of not just things that are happening in my own life, but I've this year, I feel like I've had this special seat to witness, like, lives of precious believers, people I love like crazy, who just haven't really been walking with God and pursuing God. And this can happen to anyone, don't get me wrong. But like, lives falling into total and complete chaos, and they're just, and they don't know what to do, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, the things that these folks have had to go through. But their faith, because it wasn't strengthened, there's nothing there to pull on, and that's not the life that we're meant to live. We need to be battle ready, so that when the battle shows up at our door, even though it's horrible and we don't want to deal with it and we don't want to fight, we know how to fight, and we're strong enough to fight, and we step into it and we fight that battle. We ask for help, we ask for prayer, but we pick up our swords, especially as mothers. We pick up our swords, we step into it, and we fight. And in turn, we strengthen other people, because we come out of that battle stronger, more able, because God, when we step into that battle, God is backing us up and he's walking us through with it. But, we want God to come and fight our battles for us, and he fights so many for us that we'll never even know. But there are times when we need to stand up and fight, and we need to be ready for that. And that's what this is. Don't just listen to the word and not respond. It's time to grow, time to get off the sidelines. It's time to turn our gaze from ourselves and our lives and our circumstances and our problems, and it's time to start putting them on Jesus, on the Word, and on other people. It's time to get out of our comfort zone and to step out and start doing the things in this world that really matter. It's time to live with intention and purpose, to capture our thoughts, and to direct them toward a productive end. I'm just going to finish with something that I read in my book this morning, which is probably what prompted this whole thing. But I've been super enjoying this book. I'm taking my time going through it because I have other books that I need to get through. But I definitely want to promote this. In fact, I was even thinking about doing it as like a morning thoughts study together. But it's by Sally Clarkson. It's called Own Your Life. Living with Deep Intention, Bold Faith, and Generous Love. And honestly, this is a powerhouse. But if you're trying to figure out how to get off the sidelines and in, this is a really good place to start. She identifies, you know, a lot of you know, where we lose it, and more importantly, how to just get over ourselves, forgive ourselves, and to get back into it. So on page 23 here, it says, our calling is to bring light, like Jesus, so that when we step into the world of others, we bring his peace to every person and enlighten the dark places of the world. Coming into contact with us should be like coming into contact with Jesus. And I have to ask myself that every day. Are people coming into contact with me and experiencing my stress and my fear and my doubt, my unbelief, my complaining, my whining? Or are people coming into contact with me and actually experiencing Jesus? Because that is what we're called to be, right? We have a longing for more because we were created for more. Epic movies capture our imagination because of our desire to be part of an epic story ourselves. We were made to be. We were made to be heroes in our own stories. So returning to God's design and understanding his instruction book, the Bible, for how we are made to live are both essential. The goal of this book is to help Christians begin to own their lives. And that requires taking responsibility for our decisions and understanding that each person has the power and authority to bring his or her life back into order. Okay? It begins with taking responsibility for our decisions and understanding that each person has the power and authority given to us by Jesus to bring his or her life out of chaos and back into order. We all have this power within us. Each of us is a steward of the days allotted for our lifetime, and learning to manage our commitments and priorities, our thoughts, our words, and our action are crucial. So anyway, I'm going to end with that before I get too carried away here. But I know it's a strong message. I know there's a lot there. But I really hope that this sets someone free today. And if someone was just kind of tinkering on the brink of, wow, how do I even get started? I just want you to know that you can, and that Jesus is going to partner with you with that as soon as you make that commitment to start moving your life forward in a direction for him. So anyway, you guys have an awesome day. It is a beautiful day. I am excited to go visit my friend Emily today and get my hair cut and just embrace whatever Jesus has today. So love you guys.